Welcome, everyone. I am JPJ. He is the franchise Matt Sell, and you know what that means. It's another edition of the War Report here on Love Wrestling. Matt, how are we doing today, my friend?
Yeah, as I was just saying before we come on, it's been a long week. Seems that it's been that way for a lot of people, but got two reasonably good shows to talk about. So, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I think both shows were. I thought AEW was a better show this week, but I thought NXT was solid. But like you said, another two pretty good shows to talk about. So let's dive in and get after it. This week we will start with AEW. Dynamite was. I'm recording on a Thursday morning, so last night for me. We started off with a match that I was looking forward to tremendously going into the week with Hangman Page and Ricky Starks. I do like how it seems, at least recently, that Hangman has been getting a lot of the opening matches. Whenever he fights, he seems to have that opening slot, which I like because it makes him seem like a big deal because he is a big deal. He's the number one. He's the number one ranked guy. You know, people like us that talk wrestling all the time, we all think that he's the guy that will eventually dethrone Omega. So putting him at the beginning of the show, where everybody's tuning in for the beginning of the show, and you're seeing this guy who I think they have kind of put as like the future of the company, I think that's a good spot for him to be in. You know, if you're not going to be in the main event, you might as well be first, you know? Everyone sees you first. So, but again, this was a match that I think we were both looking forward to very much. We're very high on Ricky Starks as well. I thought the match was good. There was a scary, whether he was really banged up and overcoming it or he was just doing a great sell job, that German suplex on Starks where he landed directly on his head. And then I want to say the next move or two after, there was that springboard into the clothesline that he looked like the landing was off. And he just seemed off for a few minutes in kind of the middle of that. And I was like, oh, I hope he's really not hurt. That would be terrible. But the match kind of, after that, they kind of picked it back up. You could tell he was hampered a little bit. He wasn't moving. At least I think from what I've seen of Starks, he didn't seem to be like, full steam ahead a little bit after those couple bumps, but it was definitely still an entertaining match for me. What did you think about this match?
Yeah, man. Standard AEW opener, really just super fun. Nothing too over the top to sort of overshadow the rest of the show, but super fun, super high energy to get you rolling on the show, which I always really enjoy. As you said, not perfect by any stretch. Starks was a little off through certain spots, but still, like, he's, regardless of whether he was, loopy or whatever it was, he's still young, he's still learning, he's still got a lot of growing to do, and he will do that, and that he'll be fine. A lot of good spots in this match, like Page's pump handle pick up into a fall away slam was really good. I also really liked how the spot with the Alabama slam, and then it was reversed into a dead eye, and then it ended up being reversed into a sit out power bomb by Starks. That was a really good sequence. I thought it just flowed. It didn't feel forced or anything like that. I thought it was good stuff. This is going to be a world title feud in years to come. I have no doubt. Hangman's going to be a roundabouts, and Starks is just going to build, and he's going to become a megastar. Hangman winning with a submission definitely shocked me.
I was going to say that I like, we're so accustomed to everybody winning most of the time with their signature or finishing move or whatever you want to call it. I do think it's nice every so often to throw in a different finish, because then you're like, oh, he's won matches with this. So when he hits it next time, you're like, oh, well, he won a match with this, so he could win, it just adds more elements to the wrestler or the character if you have multiple ways you can end matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And people have been, clamoring for someone like Sami Zayn to win matches with like a blue thunder bomb every so often. It makes the move feel dangerous, and you just don't know if the match is going to end when he hits it. Exactly. And that was the good thing about the submission. You thought, oh, it's just a transition submission. Then all of a sudden, Starks is tapping out. Taz is saying, oh, the bad ankle. And you're like, oh, shit, yeah, okay. So they made it make sense, and that was really, really good, especially for the casual viewer.
Yeah.
The aftermatch.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get into. So Hangman wins. He's in the ring, and Taz, who was at the commentator's booth, stands up and starts barking towards Hangman, kind of distracting him, telling him like, "Hey, we know you're number one. You're great, but you need to start watching behind your back." And he goes, "And I mean literally behind your back." And we see Hook kind of takes Hangman out by the knee, and then Brian Cage comes down, and we kind of have a 3-on-1 gang up of Hangman for a little bit, but then the Dark Order comes out and saves Hangman from ultimate disaster, getting the powerbomb from Cage, which they were setting up there. And then I believe they announced that next week it's Hangman and Brian Cage, which should be another very good match. So that led into that. It looks like Hangman's going to be having some fun with the Taz crew for a little bit. And the Dark Order intertwined. I'm all for it. I love Taz. I love all the guys in his crew. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like you said, a good opening segment, a good 15-20 minutes, fun, entertaining. Everyone who doesn't love the Dark Order, like it kind of involved good people that everybody wants to see, and I'm excited to see, that match next week and where it keeps on going. I'll have Hangman run through all of them, whatever happens,
They've moved on from Cage to Page. It's good fun.
Yeah. After that, we did get Penta going one-on-one with Trent. Another good match I was looking forward to. I'm a big fan of Trent. I've always been a fan of Trent, whether it was whether it's tag team work or singles work, even back to his singles work in WWE.
Now don't forget, it's Trent.
Trent, yes, question mark. Trent. Sorry about that. My bad. I will get better. I promise. But I thought this match again. I feel like most matches we talk about when it comes to AEW is just solid and fun, and there were some good spots. I do like the story they're doing with the Alex Abrahantes. He's
you're reading my notes. Damn it.
Sorry. He's fully formed into at least Penta, but I think at least Penta's manager. And I think the way they did it, like a month ago or whenever it happened, how he literally got up from the commentator's booth on Dark and kind of went over to translate, and they kind of played it that the first couple of weeks he was kind of this guy in the middle, like he was just there for translating purposes, and then week by week you saw more flair, more attitude, more kind of whatever, and now he came out, he was posing at the top of the ramp, he was, so I do think it's a fun story that they've kind of told of how he kind of ended up being Penta's manager.
It's natural progression, I guess. It's
something we're not all used to all the time,
No, and it's very similar to Statlander joining the Best Friends. It seems odd on paper, but it works really well in reality. The whole Penta says thing, it's great. I can't explain it. It's just really, really good. And it just goes to show that the old adage of you need to speak fluent English to get over on national television is bullshit. And this is why.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you got to remember, this match was good fun. Yeah, there was some silliness and whatever, but it was still Trent. We speak about this weekly, you and I. The Bucks could be single stars, but they're in a tag team.
Yep.
Trent is exactly the same.
I agree.
Trent has had good singles matches with Park, numerous people, and now Penta. He is a star.
He had a banger with Kenny Omega on Dynamite last year. It was like, he can. I agree with you. He could be any form that guy can go.
Yeah. Look, there's a few stupid spots like the pole driver on the apron by Penta.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
That sucked.
Yeah,
it looked bad. You could, it wasn't good. And the other thing that really irritates me, especially in picture-in-picture, and I didn't have the fight coverage tonight. I had just the picture-in-picture, so I had commercials playing. I didn't hear any of the action.
Yeah,
Penta telling the crowd to shh so you could hear the chop. That's all well and good if you're there. But the TV audience, and they pulled 1.2 million people last year. Those 1.2 million people want to hear you smack the shit out of your opponent.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till you're back from commercial for that, please.
Yeah. We can talk about that later, too, because on the other show that we'll talk about, I feel like during one of the pictures-in-pictures, there was like a superplex or a big super move on there. And I was just like, why wouldn't you time it? So, you know what I mean? I just feel like I have no problem with picture in picture. The more wrestling, the better. Like if I can watch something in the corner instead of the commercial, obviously I would choose to do that. But I would think that both companies would do a better job. And they haven't done a bad job by any means, but like they would pay more attention. Yeah, they would pay more attention and not plan bigger spots for when,
especially when they would know and the referee would be telling them commercial, non-commercial, so on and so forth. So there are ways it can be done. Most weeks they get it absolutely spot on. They do the resty holds and stuff like that through commercial, and they usually get it right. Occasionally they get it wrong. It is what it is. But one thing that I don't fully understand is Penta's still technically part of Death Triangle.
Yes.
But Penta's playing heel. Last week, Phoenix and Puck were super over as baby faces. I need clarification on that whole sort of situation.
Where they stand.
Yeah.
I think
I'm happy with Phoenix and Puck doing their thing as babies and Penta and Alex doing his thing. I'm happy with that, but explain it.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Us to know.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think AEW has this with a lot of their guys, but like Penta, he seems to be one of those guys that whether he's a face or heel, people are going to cheer for him and gravitate towards him just because of the look, the Sierra, it's all the whole shtick makes you want to root for him because he looks awesome as shit always. He's like, that's just a dope look. He's good in the ring. He always involves the crowd. He wants them chanting things and all, so like, I do think a little clarification would be good, whether, they are bad guys, but they're the cool bad guys that everybody wants to like, or they're a same part of the group, but they're just completely doing different things now. And Penta's on his own doing this and they're that. And it's just, they support each other, but they're not maybe ideologically the same. I don't know, but some sort of explanation I think would go a long way.
Yeah.
As far as like cool spots, the one that stuck out to me was the springboard buster by Pentagon off the ropes with Trent. I thought that stuck out. Like Trent was going for a move, he flipped off the ropes and then right into the springboard Canadian Destroyer. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then midway through the match, Alex grabs a mic when they're on the outside and he gets in Trent's face and he tells him he sucks. He tells him his friends suck. Orange Cassidy was at ringside as well. And Penta was giving a lot of shit to Orange Cassidy. So then this happens with Alex. He says, your friends suck. And then he crossed a line in my book and he said, your mom sucks. And you don't talk shit about Sue. So, like once he said that, Trent, obviously, nope, not having it. And then it ends up with a little fracas. And then it seems like Orange Cassidy and Penta is the direction they're going there. It seems like that's the next big match for Cassidy, maybe. Did they officially announce it for next week?
Next week? I think they did.
Yeah. So, I mean, they definitely planted the seeds for that match throughout this one with Penta kind of talking trash to Cassidy as the match went on. And then what happened at the end there kind of set up everything. And there was, Penta attacked Cassidy and laid him out. And then, everything kind of happened the way that it happened there.
Yeah, people shit on OC so much, and they have throughout AEW's entire run. But if you timeline out their 2 and a bit years or 2 years or whatever they've been in business, and you timeline out who Orange Cassidy has worked with from Pac to Penta next week.
Yeah, Jericho. Like
that's a fucking resume, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've always been a fan of Cassidy. It's different. Yeah, like you can have fun wrestlers. Like not everyone has to be some serious, I need to be champion type guy. Like you can have those side character. Like he's not a side character, but you know what I mean. You can have those characters that
the kicker with OC is he can actually go. That if he was so in the ring, you'd be like, it's just another Joe, whatever. But the fact that he can legitimately go and to build up to his match with Pac at their first pay-per-view was off the charts because people were like, oh, what are we going to get? Now we know, we regularly see he's good.
Yep. And you want to talk about good. The next segment was the sit down with JR and the Pinnacle. I thought there was a lot of good here. I loved Wardlow getting some time. I loved Wardlow talking. I thought he talked very well. I thought he was good. He got his point across. He said that Jericho was stumbling, that Jericho was cutting one of his promos the week before, and when he started mentioning Wardlow, he started stumbling because he knows he messed up once Wardlow came out of his mouth. I like that. He doesn't have to be the funny guy, like he's a monster. But I liked him having the time to talk. I liked hearing from him because he is a future world champion, in my view. Like, he has everything you would ever want.
He's a Vince guy.
Oh yeah. He's the look. Yeah. He's, so he has everything you would ever want for like a pillar wrestler in your company. And I like that he got the time there. And then what else more can we say about MJF? He cuts these promos and he's just so good. And he doesn't miss a beat. He throws in funny, serious. He can flip it up to when he starts screaming and he's yelling, and he's 25 years old. Like, he's just 25, and he cuts promos like this. And you're like, how on earth has this guy really only been doing this for what, like 5-6 years or so? Not a long time. Not a long time, but the character, and he's good in the ring too. He's damn good in the ring, but the character and the character work that he exhibits at this age is crazy. It is just, it's so good. He just tore into Jericho in a circle, but he tore into Jericho, saying that he surrounds himself with B's to look like an A, but he wrestles a bunch of A's to look so he doesn't look like a B.
Yep.
I thought that was great. He ran through the list of guys. Oh, you fight all the guys that people already want to see and then say that you're the reason they're big. And he ran through them all. Cody, Moxley, me, Hangman. And he ran through all these guys where you're like, again, what do we talk about almost weekly?
Fuck you, stealing my notes.
Sorry, man.
Is spitting facts.
Yes. And I think AEW, specifically MJF, because we're talking about him, he does that as good as anybody. Good as anybody. You want to hate him because he's a little slimy piece of trash, but he tells the truth almost all the time. And when he tells the truth, you only can hate him so much. I mean, talk to me. What'd you like? Geez, Louise, I thought this was, man.
This was good shit. This was real good. Yeah. As we just said, he is on North American weekly wrestling television. He is the best promo, bar none. I think he's probably the second best promo in world wrestling. That's debatable for another day, but North American weekly wrestling television, he is the best. And this just proves why. This was just factual. It was fluent. It was to the point, and it was directed at one man and his cronies. And it was everything it needed to be. I hope that they don't have, I know that we got the parlay next week and they're going to have some sort of face off, but please, and they've not done it before, please do not have them brawl. I don't need to see them brawl the week before their big match. Have them have words, whatever, but no brawl. And this is where these two groups excel, especially because Jericho and MJF are so good at what they do. And as you said, Wardlow, small speech and nailed it. This was, we'll speak about it in a minute, but this was Wardlow's piece was everything Jake Hager's wasn't.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. And we'll get, like you said, we'll get into that shortly.
This match is going to slap hard.
Man, it's going to be good. It's going to be something special. Yeah. They're going to beat the shit out of each other, and it's going to be something.
I reckon they might even get like the whole second half of the show.
I think so.
Close to an hour,
I think so. I wouldn't be shocked if you just gave them the whole second hour and we're like, okay, like just destroy each other.
Including entrances and the last like 5 minutes of, we won, blah, blah, blah. It'll probably take, about an hour,
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like we say it almost every time MJF cuts a promo, but I thought like you try to remember the other promos to be like, okay, where does this rank in his promos? Because this is another great promo. And I feel like every one I'm like, oh, I think that might be his best. Oh, no, that's his. Oh, no. Because he just keeps on going. He's so
I'd have to go back
good.
and listen to some of his Cody promos, but yeah, this was up there. This was really up there.
Very, very good. Then we got the AEW Women's Championship match between Hikaru Shida and Ty Conti. I'll let you lead this one. Take it off. What'd you think of this match? Anything that stuck out to you? And what stuck out to you in this one?
I really enjoyed how they showed that film clip before the match. I saw that on Twitter like last night, and I thought it was good that they showed a small part of it before the match. The match was a lot of fun, like most matches tonight were, or last night, wherever you're from. Not perfect. A little bit of waiting around for certain spots, like the knees from Conti to Shida. Like Shida was sort of pivoting on the mat, waiting for it. So you get a bit of that. You take the good with the bad. The knees and pump kicks from both these ladies were good.
Yeah,
real good.
Those were in my notes. The knee strikes were very good.
Yeah, very good. Ty just gets better every week. Mm-hmm. And when you have people that don't watch AEW saying these things, like there are people on Twitter, and you see it all the time, they're not hardcore AEW watchers, but they can appreciate when someone is excelling now and they weren't in NXT, and that's what Ty Conti is doing.
Yeah.
And you have to appreciate that.
Oh yeah. It's almost like she just needed someone to believe in her. You know what I mean? Like she was in NXT, she had a few matches here or there, but I don't remember much of her at all. And then all of a sudden you see her now and you're like you said, every match you're like, man, she's like becoming one of the top female performers in North America right in front of our eyes. And it's like, okay, well, what happened? Like, why was it just not the opportunity, or was it just she got here and, the AEW people were like, hey, we believe in you. We want to make you a focal point. And she's taken the ball and she's run with it because she has been an absolute standout the last month.
I said it last week or the week before. I can't remember which week it was, but some people excel in the training room, and that's why the PC and NXT suits them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just excel getting out there, getting reps in, and that's where AEW is good for those people, because you got Dark, you got Elevation.
Yep.
They're tape shows. You can edit them if you screw up, but they're still out there. There's still exposure for them to watch back if they choose to. People excel in different spaces. Ty just excels in getting reps in, not so much the training room type stuff, and that's fine. It is what it is. They've done a really good job of accentuating her positives and hiding her negatives. And if they're going to continue to do so, she's going to continue to get better, and she'll have her time, and she'll probably win the title at some point. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But the right person won this match.
I would agree. And a couple awesome spots that I wanted to call out were the two in the corner specifically. Shida was laid across the corner at one point, and Conti did a senton off the top onto her when she was spread across. I thought that was awesome. And then I even think it was topped by Shida. I think they called it the Witch's Corner or the Witch's Spot or something like that, where she was on the corner with Conti, and she was kind of on her back, and she like flipped her up and over and slammed her across the top turnbuckle. I thought that was, I don't know if she's done it in another match and I just missed it, but that was something I thought I've never seen before.
Very similar to Cabana's Chicago Skylight, but different in a sense. But and then good spot. She hit hard on the floor too.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Shida ends up retaining and getting the win. And then after the match, you hear, as Sheeta's celebrating, you hear Britt Baker's music, and Britt Baker comes out and she looks at the big screen behind, and you see the rankings, and you see Britt Baker is now the number one ranked woman in AEW. So and DMD. And so that was just kind of saying like, hey, I'm number one now. I'm taking that title from you relatively soon. And she gave Shida a nice little smile and wave and left. Nothing crazy, but just them. Baker's going to get that belt I think we're all aligned with that. She's going to be the next AEW Women's Champion. So this was them just setting up like, yeah, I'm number
AEW
one.
haven't really done any massive faux pas over their course. They've had hiccups and they've done some silly booking things. If they have Sheeta beat Britt Baker at Double or Nothing,
nope, cannot.
That
happen.
would be almost inexcusable.
Yeah, cannot happen. That cannot and should not happen.
No.
And that's nothing against Sheeta. That's nothing against Sheeta. Sheeta's awesome. But it's
she'll
like
win it again. She'll win again. I've no doubt.
Yeah,
she moved to America to be an AEW talent. She will get several times in the sun.
Yeah.
But I can't believe it's taken them this long. But it's Baker's time. She's so freaking good.
Yeah.
And she's not even a full-time wrestler.
No, she isn't.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, very excited for that match when it happens, and Britt eventually taking that title and kind of running with
Double or Nothing, baby. That's when
I'm assuming that's when it's going down.
Yeah.
We then get a quick little Miro promo, another one that I liked. Separating himself further from Kip and kind of on his own. He said he's destined to be a champion, and he kind of runs through all the champions on AEW and says it's just a matter of which one will I pick. Yeah, nothing more to add from me on this one. Love Miro. Love that he's getting the solo run where I think he'll be at the top of the card very shortly, as he should be. Yeah, I'm all for that. 2 weeks in a row, short, quick, saying he's by himself and he's going to be a champion. Yeah, I'm all on board when it comes to that.
I feel like every week we come on here and we say, oh, this person should beat Darby, or this person should beat Darby, or this person should beat Darby. Miro's just another one in a long line of people that could beat Darby and hold that title for a long time.
Absolutely. Then we get Tony Schiavone in the ring, and now we get that Inner Circle segment. I thought there was good and bad here.
Hang on. Time out. You telling me Tony was in the ring and we didn't have Sting?
No, I know. Oh. Shocker. We did see Sting tonight, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but hey, a week without that? Yeah, I know. So I thought when it came to this promo, I thought there was good and bad. I thought Jericho was good to start. You mentioned it earlier. I'll let you talk about Jake Hager and his little.
I don't want to talk about.
Okay, all right, fine.
He threw straws and said that we're going to eat their meat through straws.
Yeah, I thought easily the standout here was Santana. I thought when and again, this was a very Wardlow-esque, not a long speech, but he basically came out, he grabbed the mic, and he said, oh, yeah, this is what you did to us a couple weeks ago and this and that. He goes, yeah, you might think you're tough, but where I'm from, we call them bitch moves.
Yep.
Which I loved. I love that. Crowd was in on that. And he said, hey, we might have already seen red from you guys. Obviously, blood. He goes, become blood and guts. We're going to see how big your heart is. And that was it. Short, sweet. But I thought, give that guy the mic more. Because if he can talk, if he can do that. And again, I know they're part of a bigger group, but I happen to think him and Pride and Powerful, him and Ortiz, they're a tag team that should probably already have been AEW tag team champions, So like they're part of a bigger story. They're part of a bigger group. That's all well and good. But like whenever this ends with the Pinnacle or whenever like whatever, like those guys need to be at the top. They need to I feel like they don't have enough tag team matches together. Like I feel like I don't see them enough. Just the two of them in a tag match with other really good tag teams. I would like to see them participate more in the tag team division and kind of get to where they need to go because they're one of the best tag teams in the world. And,
in time, I'd like to see them I think they're better as heels. In time, I think they need to probably just get a bit shitty that they're not getting the exposure that they need / want being a part of the Inner Circle. I've heard numerous journalists say it. Now that they've got some sort of working relationship with Impact, TK should be hitting up Callis, Scott D'Amore, and say, hey, how much to pry that LAX name out of your hands?
Yeah.
Because that's what we need.
Yeah.
Especially when they've got Diamante now sitting there doing not much because Eva Lee's decided to shoot herself in the foot.
Yeah.
Now they've worked together before. No reason why they can't work together again, and it'd be so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this promo for the most part was cringe.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not.
My face was probably similar to Ortiz's through this whole thing. I was just like, well,
yeah. I thought Jericho was a little everywhere during this promo. Like,
yeah, he was.
It was very up and down. It felt like, to start it off, he was kind of that babyface, excited Jericho. Everyone was in it. Then they let Hager talk. Santana did his thing, and then when it got back to Jericho, it was very much like he was talking about random things and it was very bizarre. And then he ended it on a good note, saying,
he finished strong. Yeah.
He finished strong. He mentioned next week they want the face-to-face. He called it the parlay that we mentioned earlier. And then he said, in cum, blood, and guts, like, we're going to beat your asses, basically. So he finished strong, started strong, finished strong. Thought Santana was the highlight of the whole thing. Yeah. But it was kind of, cringe is a good word. It was kind of just like that was just kind of weird. That felt a little off to me.
Yeah. Pinnacle definitely won the battle tonight. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. Then we get Billy Gunn. Good old Billy Gunn. Getting
the 1999 King of the Ring, Billy Gunn.
Getting a good old Dynamite match going against QT Marshall. This went longer than I thought, the actual match part of it.
It went too long.
Yeah, I agree. What happened at the end, I liked. The whole thing that happened at the end, I liked, but that could have been done 5 minutes earlier. And I feel like, we didn't have to, nothing against them two, but like, I watched Billy Gunn wrestle my whole life. I don't need to see him wrestling for 12 minutes on a Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. You see him every so often. Like, hey, man, like, he can still go. He's still in great shape for his age. Like, it's not a slight on him. Like, but
Billy Gunn couldn't have a good match with The Rock in the middle of 99 during both their peaks. I don't need to see him wrestle QT Marshall for 10 minutes on Dynamite in 2021.
Yeah. So at the end of the match, Anthony Ogogo comes out when the ref is distracted. QT's kind of faking that he's a little injured there, and he gives that stomach/liver punch to Billy Gunn.
The pant shooter, yep.
Yep. And then that leads QT to the victory. And then afterwards, QT tries to attack Billy Gunn after the match with a chair, an old wooden chair. It looked like from the 1960s, you would see. It was a very odd, not the typical pro wrestling chair.
Was
very, very bizarre. And then Dustin Rhodes comes out with a bull rope to fend him off. They get him and QT get into a little physical action there, and Dustin runs him off. And the cool spot, I thought, was Nick Camarado gets in the ring, and Dustin breaks the chair. The shot looked to be a little like, I'm not going to hit you full. It was like a little like, but he hits him over the head with the chair. The chair kind of explodes into tens of dozens. Yeah. And didn't affect him. He's still standing there kind of like he's a monster. I thought it made him look good. He has looked good. He looks like, we talk about it every time we see him. He looks like a chiseled, dude from the late 80s, early 90s. I thought this made him look like a monster. He took a chair shot pretty well over the head. The chair disintegrating. Maybe that was why they had that type of chair for this exact reason. I don't know. Yeah. But the chair kind of breaking into pieces was very a cool aesthetic. And, so I thought all that kind of continued this Nightmare Factory versus the Factory feud, Dustin and QT. Yep. I'm assuming they might get a match maybe on a Dynamite, or if they want to stretch it out, I guess, to Double or Nothing, maybe. But yeah, I thought the match was way too long, but the aftermath I liked. I do like how QT is the leader of the group, but they are the way the commentators and the way they're positioning it, the real stars of the group are the wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like, they're the dangerous part of the group. QT's just the leader. He can wrestle when he needs to. He can talk. He can do all this stuff. But, like, those three guys are the real guys that are the group. You know what I mean? They're the focal points, which I like. I don't think QT needs to be the center point of a faction. He can be the leader, the talker, the manager type, Heenan or whatever type. But he doesn't need to be the focal point of what's going on. And I think the fact that they've shown the other three guys in the light
this would have served better if it was someone like Aaron Solo versus Billy Gunn, And
That's fair.
then someone like a Go-Go or QT got involved and, he got the win that way. I think it would work better in that respect because QT doesn't really benefit from beating Billy Gunn.
No.
Underhandedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The aesthetic and the visual of Caveman Comrado, just standing there, no selling the shit out of that chair shot.
Yeah.
And Dustin was just like,
damn.
whoa,
yeah, damn. Who the hell is this guy? What do I do with this guy?
Like Comrado wanted to keep going, and Dustin's like,
Yeah, no, I'm good.
So, but I don't want to see chair shots like that too often for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was clearly a gimmicked wooden chair.
Oh, yeah.
That was designed to just implode on impact and send stuff everywhere. And, if that's what they were going for, cool, it worked. So, happy days.
I agree. All right, then we get in on a segment with the Elite. They are in their trailer. Don Callis starts talking off, saying they're the greatest group in professional wrestling. The normal shtick we hear from him. He passes it off to Matt Jackson. I thought Matt was good here. Matt says that they were the reason that business went up in Japan all those years ago. They're the reason that there's a T-shirt that is nationally or internationally sold in chains all across the country. And they said this group, the Elite, were the reason that AEW even had a chance to start. Again, heels spitting facts. What did you think? One time I will say this. What did you think of the getup on the Young Bucks this week? Specifically Nick with that, I don't even know, that track suit of, they are really, the outfits the last 2 weeks have been on point. So
I think they went shopping with Seth.
Yeah. It's they're really embracing the heel gimmick by wearing the most douchebaggy clothes you could ever wear.
Yeah, as the cool kids are saying, they had all the drip.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool for them. Not for me, but cool.
Yeah. And then we get to Omega, and right as Omega's starting to speak, we hear a car horn repeatedly. One thing I will mention: when the Bucks were talking, they singled out Kingston and Moxley. They said, "You know where we are. Come find us." Yes, yes, and yes. Like, yep, okay, all in. Put the belts. I've been saying it for a while now. Put the belts on Moxley and Kingston. I'm cool with that. But yes, all for that feud with those four guys. So Omega starts talking. They do mention, I feel like AEW hasn't mentioned it enough because it's coming up on Sunday, but they do mention the title for title match with Rich Swann for the Impact title on Sunday. Don Callis says that Omega's going to win it. Omega says that he's going to win it. So I did like how they did throw that in there because I feel like all the promotion for that has strictly only been on the Impact side of things, and AEW really hasn't mentioned it at all, or very, very, few and far in between. But yeah, as he's talking, we hear a car horn, and Omega's getting frustrated, and he goes, "What the hell's going on?" They start looking out the window. They're like, "What the hell's going on?" And we see in a truck, we have Kingston and Moxley, and they're talking shit, doing their thing. And Moxley just goes, "You know what? F it." And he just drives the truck right into the trailer. They get out. Moxley has a pipe, and Kingston's talking his trash, saying, "What'd you think? This will, you weren't going to hear from us again." He's just talking his garbage. Moxley breaks a window with the pipe. They get on the trailer, and the Elite are nowhere to be seen. I don't know where they went, or if they just, once it was hit, they left. I don't know. But we don't see the Elite the rest of the time. That's kind of it. And then it's really just Kingston and Moxley kind of being funny with each other, talking trash and stuff like that. I thought, I liked everything about the segment. I love Kingston and Moxley. I've said it a dozen times, I feel like, on here already. I love the Young Bucks. I was all for it. I thought it was a good segment. Prolongs another feud. And what did you have to say about what was going on here?
Not too much, but it was just everything it needed and I wanted it to be. It's pretty much Mox and Kingston, they're awesome together. They're always going to be awesome together because they're both great on the mic, and that's just where it is. I think we're going to get Mox and Kingston versus the Bucks. Probably at double nothing. Yeah. The only thing that annoys me about it is it doesn't make sense of the rankings. Yeah. I'm not going to go into that, but that's clearly where they're headed, and that's cool. The match will be good. I don't think Mox and Kingston will win, but I would love them to.
Yeah, I agree with that. So then next we had another match that you and I were looking forward to. We talked a decent amount about last week was Powerhouse Hobbs against Christian Cage. I will let you lead on this one. What were your opinions of the match and the result? Did you agree with the results and how everything kind of went down?
This was another fun match. Pretty much every match tonight was fun. There was nothing bad. And this was everything that I thought it was going to be. Hobbs dominating. And I think that's going to be a theme of Christian's matches moving forward. The other guy's going to dominate, and Christian is going to be like the marathon man, while the other guy wilts down the stretch. Christian's going to take over and pick up the victory from there. Hobbs looked real good here.
I thought he looked very, very good. Dominated like the majority of the match, but the first half of the match, he literally dominated. Yep.
And the good thing about this is they found a way for Christian to win that doesn't make Hobbs look weak or dumb. It's just literally a veteran guy using his veteran smarts in the ring, slip out, hit his move, get the pin, while the younger guy was sort of fluffing around and, showboating a little bit. So,
kind of.
Yeah, like he had him, the commentators were putting it over, he's going for town business, all that sort of good stuff. But Christian just slips out the back door, hits his stuff, and picks up a good victory. And look, it's I wouldn't say go out of your way and see this match, but if you've got time, watch it. It's seriously good fun. Yeah,
the one thing I do want to talk about is Christian's facials in the match. Like at the beginning of the match, they stuck out to me, and he's always been good when it comes to things like this. But like when Hobbs was starting to overpower him, when the camera was close to Christian's face, like you could see Christian trying to figure out with his eye, like you could just see him like, oh shit, I need to figure out how to get around this. You know what I mean? And you could see it in his face. And I just think that's something, and we've talked about it, like that's something that his veteran savvy or whatever, like that's what he can teach guys in that locker room, those young guys too. Like, hey, you don't always have to sell just by doing big moves. You can sell by changing your facial expression. You know what I mean?
Kenny's really good too.
Yeah. So the one thing I just wanted to point out, because I noticed that especially early on when he was getting the shit kicked out of him, I was like, you could see his brain running through his facial expressions. Like, oh God, like what am I got to do something here. Like, what am I going to do? I did like at the end, Ricky Starks came out, and him and Christian Cage had a little like mini stare down there. So I'm all for that matchup too in future if they want to do that. Like, so it seems like Christian will be hanging around Team Taz as well, kind of involved with other guys going forward with them. Then we go to Jade Cargill. She had a little thing in the back saying that she doesn't need a manager, but a lot of managers have been asking her for her services. There was a little cameo from Matt Hardy, which I thought was a nice touch. Another one from Vicky. I did like, obviously those are the heel managers, but I did like how they had them in the vignette, like talking Cargill up. I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah. And then Cargill says, like I said, she doesn't need a manager, but if anybody's planning on trying to win her services, they better have a whole hell of a lot of money and back that Brinks truck up, because it's going to cost a lot, because she knows that she's a star. And again, I thought they've been doing this with Cargill when she doesn't wrestle. It's like these little short 1 or 2 minute things, but I think she kills it every time. I thought obviously every time we see her, she looks like a superstar. We've said that, but I thought this was another good step in the progression of building her up to be a big time force in the company. Anything to add or anything that stuck out to you?
No, pretty much as you said, man. Yeah, we say it every week as well. She's portrayed as a superstar. She is a superstar. Don't think she needs a manager per se.
I would agree. I don't think she does.
I think her promos are getting good enough now to a point where she can hold her own, especially in these ones where they can pre-tape them. But yeah, it was just everything it needed to be.
Yeah. And then we are to our main event. We have the TNT Championship match, another damn good one. Darby Allin defending the TNT Championship against Jungle Boy. I mean, I'll let you lead on this one again, but I thought damn good. I expected it to be damn good, and I thought it was damn good. These are two guys that are going to be main event superstars for this company for a long. And I feel like we've said that 5 times already in this episode. Hangman, Ricky Starks,
the show was
Jungle Boy.
littered with guys that are just homegrown, going to be future world champions for this company for years.
Yeah.
And that's what stuck out most for me. These were two homegrown AEW born bred talents main eventing for a major championship on national television. That is amazing.
Yep.
Whatever ratings, I don't care about the rating numbers personally, but whatever number they pull in, I hope it's a good one because these two deserve it. It was so much fun to watch this match. It started a little slow, a few rest holds here and there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when you're going to go 15 odd minutes at full pace.
Exactly.
And you know, have to do that.
These guys, both their paces are extremely fast. So it made sense to not just, I mean, and AEW does a lot where you do start that way, but it's the main event, you know. It made sense for them to kind of start slow. It really picked up after the picture-in-picture, I thought.
It built nicely, really nice.
It did. And I thought, you know, there was a spill where they went over the barricade for a little bit, and then they kind of got back in the ring. Darby later on in the match hit a absolutely sick-looking coffin drop on the apron to Jungle Boy.
Love it.
Sting and Luchasaurus were both at ringside respectively, and they randomly got into like a little altercation. Man, like these guys are just so good at what they do, and they wrestle. We've talked about it, like Darby wrestles recklessly, which works for him, and Jungle Boy is super fast, but and he can be reckless at times. Like, you know, he's a high. It's hard to explain, but I thought they fit well with each other. They were back and forth, strikes, submissions, all sorts of stuff that was good, and it was good to see Darby. Like Darby added those elements of his crazy side, but it was good to see Darby just have a straight up wrestling match. Because he can wrestle.
Gouging was a bit odd.
Yeah, that was to get out of that. I had in my notes, it was I said, you know, Jungle Boy had the snare trap in multiple times. The second he had it in, Darby got to the ropes, and then they had another sequence, and he put it in, and I thought for a second that Jungle Boy was going to win. I was like, oh, this is it. This is it here. And that would make sense to me. Jungle Boy's another young star. Like, if he would have won the title, I would have been like, okay, you know. But Darby raking the eyes there, obviously a heel tactic.
Yeah.
But I think it just showed that he literally will do anything not to lose, not to die or anything. You know, I know JR made some references like he just never stops, like he never quits. And I do think it's odd because he's clearly a babyface. The crowd loves him. So I did think it was odd using kind of a heel, you know, eye rake, pulling the hair type thing. Like that's not something babyfaces usually do, but I don't think Darby is just a clean cut babyface. You know what I mean? Like he's got that edge to him. So
he's the underdog who'll do anything to win.
Exactly.
He proved that last week by jumping off, you know, the freaking roof. And then this week by breaking the eyes. And it was everything it needed to be. As we said, it built nicely. It started slow. It picked up. And then the last sort of 5, 6, 7 minutes was just a sprint.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And Darby ended up, and we talked about it with the Hangman match, Darby ended up winning with the Last Supper kind of roll-up pin there. So he hit the coffin drop earlier on the apron, but it wasn't his big finish and win. It was a pin, like a roll-up type pin victory, which I thought was good because, like you said, the last 5 or 6 minutes was just, they were full steam sprint. And I thought ending it that way was a good fitting way to end it. It was kind of out of nowhere, kind of quick, like, oh, man, all right, someone finally won. And then we get what happens after the match, which I will get your opinion on. It looked like Darby and Jungle Boy were setting up for a mutual respect of some sort. And then all of a sudden, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky hit the ring. They take both of them out, and then you see Sting come out with bat in hand and Luchasaurus, and they kind of run off, and Dynamite ends with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky on the ramp kind of porting towards the ring with Sting and stuff like that. We've seen them kind of be layered in the last couple weeks involving Sting, or at least last week they tried to run in before and Archer did get involved too. Archer came out. It wasn't Luchasaurus. It was Archer. I'm sorry. Archer came out, and it was Archer and Sting. We did see last week they tried to get at Sting, but Archer kind of held them off. Assuming there's going to be attack, it looks like maybe Scorpio and Ethan Page versus Archer and Sting might be where they're heading. I don't know.
Maybe.
What did you have to say about them two kind of ending Dynamite the way they did? Kind of a little surprise.
I'm interested in the Scorpio Sky Ethan Page stuff. I don't know where it goes or ends, and that's the mystique for me. And I'm happy to follow the journey because so far it's been fun. The Archer Sting stuff, I don't know whether that's going to be similar to a Darby and Sting, mutual friendship, or turn tag team, or they're going to fight. I don't know. So that's also interesting for me. Really interesting way to end what was a really, really fun show.
Yeah. I do think, I feel like tonight, and we said it, I feel like this episode of Dynamite had a lot of younger talent on it. Cody didn't wrestle. The Young Bucks didn't wrestle. Omega didn't wrestle. Moxley didn't wrestle. You know what I mean? It was all, it's guys we see a lot, and guys and girls that we see a lot, obviously. Yeah. But it was a very youthful show to me. Christian Cage obviously was the veteran. Hangman's been around, but it was Ricky Starks, Darby, Jungle Boy, Hobbs, Ty Conti. It was all these people that are going to be around for a while. So I think it was another fun, it didn't miss a beat while all those big people that you expect to see didn't wrestle. So I think it just shows the depth of AEW's roster and the depth of their storytelling, because everything mattered with these people who aren't necessarily the top guys of the company. You know what I mean?
We said the same thing about NXT last week, and that's what makes these two shows the best shows of the week.
I agree. They perfectly, and not perfectly, because we do have our critiques, but both shows do a very good job of establishing the guys that we know, guys and girls that we know are the stars of the show, and then making the other ones who are going to be the future stars matter. And that's, like you said, that's what makes these the two, I think, easiest and most enjoyable shows to watch, because that storytelling is told across the board. It's not just one or two great stories and the rest is just doesn't matter. It's story. Everything matters. Everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
All right. So we will transfer over to NXT.
Get it.
Yeah. I thought I'm going to have you start off with this Kyle O'Reilly promo. And then we can kind of dive into that. I thought NXT this week was solid. I thought there was nothing that super stuck out, but I thought AEW was a better show, but I thought NXT again was just, you're not going to watch those 2 hours of wrestling and be like, man, I wish I didn't do that. It was a solid show. There was good things in it. It just seemed more of a standard show as opposed to the big shows we've been seeing the last, month or so.
It was a bit laissez-faire, but it was still a good show.
Yeah. So again, with that being said, we did start off with Kyle O'Reilly cutting a promo in the ring. I will let you take it. What were your opinions? I know this is kind of, people have a mixed bag of emotions when it comes to Kyle O'Reilly.
A lot of conjecture about this.
Yeah. So I will let you take the floor, my man.
I messaged you when I watched this and I said, I have no idea what to put in my notes for what I just saw.
Yeah.
I wrote notes and I'm honestly still don't know whether they're right or wrong. To me personally, the whole Cool Kyle thing with the hat and whatever else, it's as bad as Hager's promo was. To me, it was not good. For the simple fact of, it's not what I expected for someone coming off the biggest win of their NXT career at NXT's biggest show on the biggest week. Mm-hmm. I don't get it.
Yeah.
He looked like a killer against Cole, coming off the top rope with the chain wrapped around his knee, taking him out like that. He looked like a destroyer in that match. Mm-hmm. And now he's in the ring with some sort of fishing hat.
Yeah, sunglasses, like just being this cool guy. Cool.
Being Mr. Cool Kyle. What? Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I thought the things that he actually said throughout the promo made sense. Yeah. Like he talked about how he's far away from Adam Cole and he finally feels free and things like that. He mentioned all the titles and the champions and said that, the reason why he's there is to win championships, and he feels like that Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era behind him. Like the things he was saying made sense. It's a proper promo from what you would hear from somebody who just, finally got out of a group or finally had their blow off, whatever. I just don't know who he is. And we'll talk about it more when it comes, because the match at the end of the night was fantastic. And that was the Kyle O'Reilly we all love, right? Yeah. That Kyle O'Reilly. But then that, for me, that Kyle O'Reilly, like you said, it doesn't match up with the Kyle O'Reilly. And again, I don't need him to be an insane killer. We have that killer cross, like Karrion Kross, killer cross. We have that type of character. Like, it's cool. You can be a different character, but then be an absolute savage in the ring. I just feel like, for me, the last thing I wrote at the bottom of my notes after the match, and we can talk about it when we get there or now, it doesn't matter. I was like, who is Kyle O'Reilly? Like, who? That's the thing. Like, I know what he is in the ring. I know that's a guy I want to watch every week. I know that's a guy that I want to see win every week because he's one of the best. But now that you're not in a group and you can't rely on other people, you need to be your own person. And I'm not sure. And again, this was the first promo. I get it. This time to get better. This time to figure it out. But so far, at least from the first night, I thought it was it felt really off. It just felt bizarre to me.
Yeah, it seems to be a disconnect between character and actual wrestler.
Yeah.
Or performer. I don't know, it's a bit odd. Yeah, his promo made sense, but it's hard to take his words in when you're so enthralled by the weird sort of character that you're visualizing. I don't know. It was a weird sort of way to portray him first time out after such a big win.
Yeah, I agree. Then we see Saray walking into the ring. Walking into the building, I'm sorry. And Regal meets her out there. And as Regal's introducing himself, we see Zoe Stark. And Zoe Stark tells Regal that she's been a big fan of Saray, and she would be honored for her debut match tonight on NXT to be against her.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that. But to me, and we've talked about it, to me, when I saw that, I go, oh, so another big loss for Zoe Stark. Cool. All right, great. I'm sure she'll look great because they've made her look great, and she has looked great, but just another big match for her that she's going to lose. That was my first initial thing. But I was pumped for the match. I personally don't know anything about Saray, so this is the first anything for me.
Same.
But that's just how I felt initially when I saw that. On
a roster with Aaliyah, Jessie Kamea,
that's what I'm saying. That's what
Casey Catanzaro, Kaden Carter, any of those. With a roster with those around, Zoe Stark wasn't needed here.
No, you can eat. They have plenty of women that they can throw out there that can go with Saray for 5 or 6 minutes or whatever you need, and it doesn't matter. Like Zoe Stark, unless there's a bigger story, and there might be. I'm all for that too. I mean, we will, later there was some story at the end of the match, but unless there's a grander story, maybe Zoe Stark loses all these matches and then she finally snaps and she's a heel and it's a different story. I don't know. But it seems odd that it's continually big match, big match, big match, big match, loss, 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 loss. It's just, but anyway. Then we get LA Knight versus Dexter Lumis. This was short, but I thought it was good. LA Knight, to me, is another, he hasn't been there long, and he automatically looks like a star. We all know he can talk. The charisma is off the charts. He's good in the ring. That guy's a future NXT World Champion, if you ask me. But I thought the match was pretty good. I don't expect a wrestling clinic from Lumis or anything like that. It ended up Knight gets the victory, and he gets the victory because after a few, 5 minutes or so of battling, he ends up on the outside, and Indy Hartwell's out there. And they kind of have a stare down. Gets Lumis's attention. I did like at one point, LA Knight gets out there and attacks Lumis when they're having the stare down, and he turns back at Indy Hartwell and he goes, how the hell can you be interested in that guy when I'm standing right in front of you? And like that, just, typical heel, but funny. And then Lumis gets distracted by her again, and it allows Knight to hit his finishing move there. I thought it didn't look the cleanest. Knight kind of went down and Lumis stayed up. Yeah, it was not good. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I try to sugarcoat things I shouldn't, but
No,
it was not good. But it got him the win, a big, another win for LA Knight as they continue to push him and they continue the Loomis Indy Hartwell story. Yeah, what did you have to say? Anything to add or anything that stuck out to you that I might have missed when it came to this match here?
I did giggle when Index were following each other across the plexiglass and then Indy just trips.
Do you think that
was in?
Yeah,
I
was
don't
going
think
to
that
ask.
was intentional.
I don't think it was either. I think she played it off well, like it was.
Yeah,
she was so in love or enamored that she tripped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Beth
she's
Phoenix did a
literally
good job.
falling, literally. Yeah. So I giggled at that. I giggled at LA Knight's little swipe, as you mentioned. Yeah, the match was sort of nothing to it.
Yeah, it was.
It was what it was. LA Knight winning, cool. I'm not as into the character as a lot of people, which is fine. He's not for everyone. He's for a lot of people, but he's not for everyone. When he talks, he is elite level. That's you can't deny that. And yeah, he probably will win the NXT title at some point. But yeah, this match was take it or leave it for mine.
Yeah. And then we get a little short Leon Ruff interview in the back. He's in the locker room area where he had attacked Swerve from the week before. And he basically calls out Swerve. He says, you woke up a little bit of intensity in me. I'm waiting on you. Ball's in your court. Make a move. So it seems like we're not done with that yet. I would hope the next match would be the last match of them. But it seems like we're going to get one more at least blow-off match when it comes to Swerve and Ruff.
Yeah, I think this was just a way to advance to the end game of these two, and that's fine.
Yeah, I would agree. Then next we do have the Io Shirai sit down with Beth Phoenix. I thought this was good. Beth Phoenix says, they talk about her long 300-plus day reign and how she was such a fighting champion. Then they talk about the loss to Raquel, and Io says Raquel was her biggest and toughest opponent. And when the time is right, she will get her rematch and she will get the NXT championship, women's championship back. Beth Phoenix then goes on to ask her, hey, so what's next for Io Shirai? And Io says, rest. She goes, I've been defending the title for 300 days. I've been a hard-fought champion. My body needs time to relax and rest for a little bit. It's a little beat up. And as she's kind of going into this, talking about it, we see, I'm sorry, I'm not going to remember the name of the dog, but we see the dog kind of across the table.
Can't remember.
I can't remember. And then Frankie Monet.
Presley.
That might be it. I think it's Presley. Yeah. I think you're right. And then Frankie Monet shows up and she apologizes and she introduces herself. She says that she compliments Io, says that she was a great champion. She compliments Beth Phoenix in a kind of a compliment, but a dig kind of way. She says, "Oh, Beth, like, oh, Beth, I love you. I've been watching you since I was a kid." And you kind of see Beth Phoenix like, what? She kind of gives her a look.
I'm not that old.
I thought that was pretty good. And then she looks at Io and she says, well, since you're going away to rest for a little bit, I certainly can fill your shoes for you. And she says, my shoes are a lot nicer anyway, kind of throwing in the rich kind of uppity girl vibe there. And then Io gets a little pissed off, gets in her face and starts talking in Japanese. And then she just says, I like cats. And she walks off. And that's how that ended. Hey, you want Frankie Monet's first match to be against Io Shirai? All in on that.
Give me all of that.
Yeah, all of it. I thought this was a good segment. I thought it got the point across. I thought it was a good 2 weeks in a row with Frankie, with the champion last week, and now with the one who just had a 300-day reign. Like, it shows where they view her. Yeah, I think we're both in agreement here that we're all for Io and Frankie to do something.
Frankie
together.
looked good. She speaks good. She is good.
Yep.
Give me that.
I really don't think there's much more to add except that was some good stuff right there. Then we have an Indy Hartwell interview in the back that gets immediately shut down, by the way. They were trying to get interviewed about what happened with Loomis earlier. And then Bronson Reed shows up, and Bronson Reed is like, what, you two guys don't like love? Come on, what is this?
You don't love love?
You don't love love? Come on. I thought that was
Aussie. It's funny.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
So much.
And then Reed basically says, well, you guys are dealing with this. I still got my eyes on that. Points at Gargano, and he points at the North American title. And Gargano says, hey, man, you lost. You lost, man. You're at the back of the line, which I liked because, again, truth. And he goes, you lost. You're at the back of the line. And Austin Theory, being a numbskull, and Austin Theory kind of gets in the way there. And he goes, oh, yeah, there's no way you're getting your hands on that American title. No, not unless you beat me. And you can see Gargano immediately is like, what? No, he's got to beat you. You're an idiot. Like you can immediately see Gargano reacting. And then, typical, he calls him an idiot, says, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. What did you think about this segment? Anything stick out to you?
I'm warming to the way. I was never a fan, but I'm warming to them so fast.
Yeah, I do like the dynamic of how Candice and Johnny are just like, what the hell did we get ourselves into with these two? Yeah. These two are friggin' morons. You know what I mean? Like,
I loved it when Austin Theory calls him Papa John. Anyway, and he goes, dude, he squished you. He pinned you last week. He squished you, and he's like, and then he pokes him in the ribs.
And he's like, yeah. Oh, very, very. So funny. I've always been a fan of Gargano and Candice.
Yes.
But yeah, I think they're blending comedy to a level that it just fits perfectly for them because they all can be funny, and it's starting to, I've always been an advocate of, but it's starting to warm up on me too. I think they're just kind of getting funnier and funnier and better.
Reminds me of when you're arguing with someone and you get to a point where you're like, oh shit, I'm wrong. But you're like, I've come too far. I have to keep arguing my point.
Yeah.
That's similar to what the way is. They're so overbearing and ignorant and cocky that they believe that they are as good as they think they are. And as such, people start to believe them as well. And that's sort of where it's headed. And it's just good fun.
Yep. We then get Cameron Grimes in the back. And one thing we didn't mention because we were talking about Kyle O'Reilly is at the end of that Kyle O'Reilly promo, Cameron Grimes came out. He congratulated Kyle O'Reilly on his big win against Adam Cole. He says that he made a killing on him on DraftKings, betting on him that night. And then he starts mentioning NFTs and business arrangements, and he said he wanted to go into business with O'Reilly. And O'Reilly announced that he was cleared for return, and he was going to be returning tonight, and his first opponent would be Cameron Grimes. Mm-hmm. So then we fast forward a little bit, and we have Grimes out back, and he's asked about what happened early with O'Reilly, and he said, I wasn't too happy about that, but he goes, it's all right. I just made a ton of money. I just bought my first NFT. And he kind of lifts it out. And as he's reading, you hear that his sale for that NFT did not go through because he was outbid, and he was outbid by $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. And Cameron Grimes gets pissed. He starts screaming, DiBiase! And he's flipping out, and he just leaves. I wrote it in my notes during the match because the match later was excellent, I thought. But Cameron Grimes, for me, and I've said it continually every week, he is the standout performer for me. He's one of the guys. He makes me laugh every week. He's hysterical. He's great in the ring. The character, he is just the guy that I want to see the most on NXT currently, just because he's so entertaining to me. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a huge Grimes fan.
Oh,
he's really good in the ring. But I really enjoyed the way they used him this week.
Yeah,
I thought he was the right opponent, right person to interfere. Yeah, I thought the use of him this week was spot on.
Cool. Then we get the big debut of Saray versus Zoe Stark. This was not a terribly long match, but I thought it was fast. It was hard hitting. I thought it was good. I thought Zoe Stark, to me, carried most of the match. And I thought she looked great. Again, her knee strikes are awesome. She's super fast, super powerful. I thought, again, she looked great. She looked like the standout in the match, even though this match was specifically to get Saray the victory in her debut. And I thought Saray looked good too. Her kicks were very cool. They were, I'll let you talk more. I thought that when Zoe hit the running knee, that 2 count, that close call there was as close as it can get. I thought that was kind of made me go, whoa, like that was real close. What were your opinions on this match and just Zoe Stark and Saray? I guess this is the first time for both of us really seeing her. So
it was just a lot of fun. It wasn't, any match of the year contender, or it wasn't, Botch City or anything like that. It was just good fun. It was a good introduction to what Saray can do. We spoke earlier. Did Stark need to be in this position and lose another match? No. But is there a story to come out of it? Potentially.
Yeah.
And you had to have her in this match for what happened after the match. So for that respect, and Stark was not disgusted or disgraced in a loss here.
Nope.
So for me, cool.
Yeah, and what did happen after the match is they had a sign of respect in the ring. They shook hands, and Zoe Stark was leaving while Saray was celebrating, and Toni Storm attacked Zoe Stark on the ramp, threw her into the plexiglass there, and kind of beat her down for a few until Saray came out and kind of stopped things. And so it seems like Toni Storm and Zoe will be a program going forward. They had that match at the TakeOver pre-show, which was really Zoe's only real big win so far. So I do like how they can probably weave that into the story a little bit. And I'm all for Tony Stark. I'm all for Toni Storm being Jesus. I'm all for
Iron
Toni
Man reference.
Storm.
Happy days.
I'm all for her being on television more and being in matches more. She's great. Obviously, her being from where you are, I'm sure you have been a fan of hers for a while. The more they use her, the better in my book. I'm all for it. So, and I think this is a feud that can give Zoe another win or two.
Yeah.
And like get her to where she needs to be, start winning matches,
Perfect program to have Stark in where she can win and her opponent doesn't lose any luster.
Yeah, I would agree. And then, Saray obviously got the win. The way she was presented, they are expecting big things from her. So yeah, it was a small sample for a first sample, but I thought it was a good one. So we'll see where they go with that.
Yeah, she's got a whole roster to work with.
Oh yeah, and it's a good one. It is a damn good one. We get Raquel and Dakota in the back. Raquel says Io was a great champion, but she's going to be a better one. And then Raquel also says, she basically calls out the women's roster and says, hey, anybody that wants to come for the title, you can line up one by one because I'm going to run through all of you. I did like how a little bit Dakota was starting to talk she said we. She said, oh, when we beat Io. And like, so they it looked like there was no like side eye or anything from Raquel's point of view yet.
She'll get annoyed eventually.
Yes. I did notice that Dakota was starting to throw in some of those things when they were chatting. And I was like, okay, like you said, eventually Raquel is going to be like, it wasn't a we. You were not there. Me. Yeah, it was me. And then but I thought that was very smart on them to kind of throw in a little, nothing that stuck out crazily, but something that if you're like, oh, okay, that could lead to issues,
Raquel's eventually going to turn to Dakota and she's going to go, well, there may not be an I in team, but there's an M and an E. So,
yep.
Sorry, Dakota.
Oh man. We do get another Candice and Indy. The way were kind of sprinkled throughout this episode, but I thought they were kind of like the comedic humor of the episode as it went along, which is what I liked. So we have Candice and Indy in the back, and they're walking, going to Regal's office to demand a tag title rematch. And as they're walking, you see kind of Dexter Lumis poke up behind a window of sorts and kind of get Indy's attention. Candice is like, no, don't pay attention to that. Let's keep going. And she walks, and Indy doesn't follow. She's fixated on Lumis there. Candice walks up, and as she's walking up, she goes, just who I'm looking for. And you see Ember and Shotzi come out of the locker room. And Candice, completely thinking that Indy is still behind her, starts talking shit to Ember and Shotzi, saying, oh, yeah, us, like, we're going to blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, you or who's we? And then they go, oh, what about you? What do you have to say, Indy? And Candice turns around and then realizes that Indy is not there. And then she tries to run away and hit Ember Moon's glass water cup in her face and tries to run away. And they catch her and drag her back into the locker room, kind of 2-on-1 and we hear some stuff happening with the door shut. I thought this was quick, funny. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything to add, but I thought it was good. Everything
it needed to be to push both stories, really. So, not much more to add.
No. One thing, and I know we talked about kind of the hype video that they had for Ty Conti on AEW Dynamite. I loved the hype video they had for Kushida here. I think they made people that might be new viewers on a Tuesday or, the people that aren't diehards they made you understand just how important he is as a wrestler and just how important it is for him to be holding that title.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I loved the Steve Corino sighting. I love Steve Corino. I loved him talking in it. I thought it was a perfect video to kind of just reinstate how big of a deal it is to have Kushida in NXT.
I thought they picked the perfect opponent for the open challenge too.
I did too. So then we go right into it. Kushida comes out. He cuts a little small promo, just says, hey, I won this on an open challenge and I'm going to continue it. Who wants to fight? And we get my boy, my Boston mate,
The
Oni
Boston
Lorcan.
Bruiser.
Yeah, the Boston Bruiser. I thought it was a good opponent. Oni is a hard-hitting, fast-paced wrestler, so I thought it was a great match. I thought it was a good to great match. I thought it was a good opponent. I know when you start hearing open challenges, our minds automatically go to the greatest thing it could ever be. You know what I mean?
Returns,
yeah, exactly. So I did
never
see
that way.
No. So when it was Oni Lorcan, I could understand how some people who their brains and I was one of them at first. Like I wasn't upset about Oni Lorcan because I like Oni Lorcan, but I was one of those guys at first that I was like, oh, maybe it'll be. Like I saw a couple people say Ali, maybe, or like Buddy Murphy, or like things like that. Like, but I did think, and I'll let you talk about the match. I did think it was a really good opponent for they meshed very well. But I'll let you talk more. Any spots stuck out to you, or just your thoughts on the match in general?
It was solid throughout. It was hard hitting. It was technical at times. It was just a lot of fun. Both shows had some really, really fun wrestling that was just a breeze to sort of watch and absorb. The ending sequence stuck out for me. You had the drop kick and then the kicking of the elbow into the hoverboard lock. It was smooth, crisp, and it was so easy to watch. Yeah. And that's just Kushida in a nutshell.
He makes everything look easy.
He does.
You know what I mean?
And yeah, it's ridiculous how easy he makes things look. But yeah, the match was good. As I said, the opponent I thought they picked in Lorcan was Primo, the first defense open challenge type dingo. We said last week, Kushida and Escobar, that could continue and we'd be happy with that. Seems to be the way they're going, and that's fine. Throwing MSK in there, wasn't expecting that. Happy to see it though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Another thing, I know we had talked about Kushida wearing the trunks last week, which was a change for him. Today, or on Tuesday, he had no boots.
No shoes.
So barefoot. So it seems to be, I don't know if it's a different direction. I know they use the word direction a lot on commentary, but it seems at least to be from the physical appearance that it might be going that way. More of an MMA style, submission based, which is fine. I mean, it's what he's good at. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it's definitely a different look if you're used to the Kushida we've seen for years in New Japan and, up until this point.
And if that means a change of direction means that he's going to pick up bigger wins and hold the Cruiserweight title for a period of time, give me that. Yeah,
for sure. And like you did say at the end, when Kushida does get the victory, does retain, Escobar comes out and he's at the ramp.
Sharp.
And looked very good in that suit. He comes out, has Kushida's attention, and the other two gentlemen from Legado del Fantasma attack him from behind. And then it's kind of a 3-on-1. And like you said, MSK shows up and they kind of even the odds and they run off Legado del Fantasma. And they announce that next week we're getting a 6-man tag, which should be fun as hell. I'm all for that. They were in the triple threat for the tag title match together. So there could be, you can throw that in there. Kushida and Escobar, I am all for continuing. I mean, no complaints by me. These are 6 guys that I like, 6 guys that are great in the ring. That match is I hope that's the main event next week. It could open the show too, but I hope it's the main event.
It could be either.
But that's going to be a hell of a match. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm just happy we're getting it.
Yep. We then see Mercedes Martinez in the back, says that she was listening to Raquel's interview from earlier and that she called her out last week and all she's heard is silence. And she hasn't really heard much from Raquel. She says Raquel is nothing but Dakota's lapdog, which I liked. Another little sprinkle of what could happen with Dakota and Raquel, what we're expecting to happen at some point.
Yeah.
And she said, all right, well, if I need to get your attention, I'll take Dakota out first, and then I'll come for your title. And they announced next week, which should be a great match. Dakota Kai going against Mercedes Martinez. Another thing to look forward to. I like this. I feel like right before the main events on both shows, they kind of show you what's coming next week. So you're like, okay, we're at the end of the show. It's a main event. It's been a good show, but like, oh, look at these things we can look forward to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect spot to kind of advertise for next week. So you're like, oh,
it's a very good segue. It's so good. They both do it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Martinez's promo was a very layered attack. It was directed at Raquel, but it was also saying, hey, you need to open your eyes because Dakota's gonna underhand you at some point.
Yep.
But yeah, that match next week, it's gonna be awesome. A good one.
Oh yeah. Then we see The Way one more time. They're in the back, and Candice is beaten up, lip makeup everywhere, hair disheveled, shirt ripped. Johnny Gargano's like, "What the hell happened?" And she goes, and then the other two, Indy and Austin Theory, show up, and they start being their goofballs. Indy's talking about Loomis. Austin is doing whatever the hell he's doing, and the Gargano basically just gets fed up, and he's like, "You know what? You two just need to get the hell out of here. Like, let Candice. Candice is pissed. She's not feeling this. She, it looks like she might be having second thoughts about our group here. Let's just give her time. Let's get the hell out of here. We've done enough damage." Again, another short, sweet, funny segment. You can see in Candice's face that she is just done with it. And she's like, this is not going well for me.
The gum in a woman's hair will do that every single time.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I liked the way they were sprinkled throughout the show. I thought it was like, it was just well paced, well put throughout and stuff like that.
Very well.
Then we get a little bit of a squash match. We have Imperium versus Everrise. Imperium is flanked by Alexander Wolf at ringside. Very quickly throughout the match, they're hitting their double team moves. It's looking like this one's going to be short and sweet, which it was in general. But Killian Dane comes out, and he kind of gets in the face of Wolf, and they're barking at each other a little bit. And then Drake Maverick comes out, and he runs down and punches Wolf in the face. And Killian Dane's kind of like, "No, what are you doing?" Like trying to play peacemaker a little bit. And as that's happening, Imperium kind of hits their double team moves, and wins relatively easy. Again, nothing short, nothing crazy. They're going to obviously continue with this Dane Maverick Imperium thing that they're doing, kind of teasing that Dane is kind of in the middle a little bit. Anything to add or anything about where this might be going in future that is catching your eye or anything like that?
Two things stuck out to me. Dane not physically attacking Wolf is making you think that's exactly where they're headed with this.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, and you picked up on it last week, when they posed at the end, Wolf is front and center.
Yeah.
Bartel sort of looks at him as if but the pause between Wolf posing and the other two posing was noticeable, significantly noticeable.
Yep.
And you just see Bartel, he turns his sort of head and just sort of shakes it. And so I don't know where or what this means without Walter on the scene, but I'm very intrigued in where this is going.
I am too. We did talk about it a little last week because Bartel seems to be the one that is like, why we listening to this guy? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a good story to tell, especially when we know Walter's not going to be around for a while, Then we get to our main event. Thought it was awesome. It was Kyle O'Reilly versus Cameron Grimes. I will let you take the lead here. If you want to go over some spots that stuck out to you or just in general, like I did mention earlier, especially when it got towards the end of this match, we did see that killer Kyle O'Reilly that we all love. We just gotta, we can talk about it a little bit on the end. I'll let you talk about what stood out to you in the match first, but I'm sure we'll talk about O'Reilly a little bit.
Not much stood out for me in this, to be honest. I wasn't as yay about this match as a lot of people seem to be. I don't know why. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch it. Maybe I was a bit tired when I watched it or something. I don't know. It just I didn't vibe with it like a lot of people did. Maybe it's because I'm not into Grimes as much as a lot of people are. I don't know. Kyle is great, and he's destined for great things. I don't necessarily need them hinting at him versus Cross straight up.
Yeah, that was something.
Kind of makes it predictable if that's where they go with it, because Cross ain't losing it straight up.
Yeah.
Let it breathe a bit. Have O'Reilly feud with Swerve, someone like that. Elevate him while making Kyle look good. I don't know, something. One other thing I don't need Kyle doing is I don't need Kyle doing the Ambrose bounce off the ropes into a clothesline. It's hokey and it's so unnecessary for someone with his move set or skill set.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit. It just looks out of place. I don't also vibe with the knee off the top as a finisher for him either.
I did notice that. Yeah.
He looks in the Street Fighter unsanctioned match with Cole. It was do whatever you can to get the win, but in just a regular match, he looked odd being up there.
Yeah.
I would prefer, and I've said it before, I'd prefer him to use some sort of submission that, where he just puts you to sleep, or some sort of leg lock where you fear for your knee. If you don't tap straight away, he's going to rip your knee apart. Something, anything. I just think they could portray Kyle a lot better than they are currently.
Yeah, and like we talked about at the beginning, like it's clear that they are positioning him to be the next singles babyface guy of NXT, or one of them. You know what I mean? One of them. Yeah. So if you're doing that, which we know he has the talent in the ring to be that guy, right? We just got to see how long or where it goes to get to that full picture of who he is. I agree with you. I would like to see maybe a strike-based finish or a submission where he where somebody needs to tap out, or he puts someone to sleep, or maybe it's a knockout blow that like knocks out guys, or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way he wrestles, and they always speak of it all the time, is he is an MMA base trained wrestler. I don't think and again, the flying knee has been in his arsenal for a while. I have no problem with him using the flying knee. It's a good, you don't see it often. It's a good move. But when I think of MMA mat-based submission style wrestler, I don't think of a flying knee as the finishing move that's going to end a match of that type of wrestler. You know what I mean?
It fits when he's part of, I still call them Red Dragon. When it's him and Fish as a tag, it fits because Fish will be holding him and then he'll knee him, and or so on and so forth. Or he does it to a standing opponent to whatever. It just didn't vibe with me as a finisher while the guy was laying on the mat. It just, I don't know. Just didn't vibe. Not for me.
Yeah. And that really was NXT for the week. I thought, again, solid show. We obviously talked about a lot of things we did like when we talked about a few things that were kind of just but I thought it was another solid show. I don't mind. Not every show has to feel like a takeover or has to feel like a pay-per-view or anything like that. But as long as stories are progressing and there's reasons for me to watch next week, that's all I care about. And NXT,
that's where both shows do a really good job.
Exactly.
With promos and vignettes.
Exactly.
That's where they progress a lot of their stories. And there was a lot of conjecture on Twitter. Like, I saw a lot of stuff today. AEW was a good show, but it didn't progress any stories. I
disagree.
What show were they watching?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Like there are constantly stories told throughout both these shows that lead to the matches the next week.
Yeah.
Like that, they've been doing that for a while now. And I think like we talked about, that's a super good formula to have. You have stare downs, you have little promo stare downs throughout the night. And then at the end of the show, when they're promoting next week, you have the matches from the stare downs and from the bullshit that happened. Like that, that is building a story. Not every story is going to be, Hulk Hogan joining the NWO. Like not every story is going to be that. You know what I mean? There's different levels of what is happening here.
They're not always going to be 6 months in the making either.
No, so I would disagree with the people that are spouting that. Or these as good as both shows last week? I would say probably not. I thought last week was better, but they were still two really solid shows that I enjoyed and gave me stuff that I'm excited for next week. And I think at the end of the day, as wrestling fans, that's all we're really looking for. It's like,
You didn't
hey,
feel like you wasted 2 hours on either show. That's
exactly.
For sure.
Like I've been a wrestling fan, and I know you have for a long time. I've been a wrestling fan for 30 years. Like I'm tuning in next week, no matter what. You know what I mean? But it makes it a lot easier and more enjoyable for me as a long-term wrestling fan to know that I'm not only tuning in next week just because I love wrestling, but I'm tuning in next week because there's actual shit I want to see.
Yeah.
So,
and as a fan, I'm the same. I don't watch Raw because I got sick of bitching about it. So instead of bitching about it, now I be about it and I don't watch it. SmackDown, I got rid of my cable provider, so I don't have it live anymore. So I do stuff with my son instead. So I don't watch SmackDown now either. I catch up on the cool Roman stuff when he does it on YouTube, and that's about it.
yeah.
I religiously watch AEW and NXT, and it's cool because I get to talk to you for an hour and a half every week about it, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So you get rid of the negative. I said it before. Yeah, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. I hide the negatives when I'm watching main roster WWE. I watch NXT and AEW, and I come here and talk to you about it.
Yeah. It's pretty good gig, you know?
Yeah.
It's a fun
Smiles
time.
around.
Yeah.
Smiles around. One thing that did make me smile on NXT, and we didn't go over it. It wasn't too big a thing. Breezango as English guards,
the English guard, yes,
the absolute best thing I reckon I'm going to see all week. It was so damn cool.
Yeah, no, that was
especially considering who their opponents were. It was so good.
Yeah, we completely glossed over that. I completely missed that in my notes. That's my apologies. But no, that was very funny.
It was. So happy days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it for these two shows. Obviously, lovewrestling.ca. Follow us, subscribe, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. We are everywhere, and we have a lot of good people doing a lot of good things. There's more exciting things to come. We are Twitch affiliates now. I know you've probably heard us say that a ton of times, but we are Twitch affiliates now as of a couple weeks. So if you do have a Twitch and you do watch our stuff on Twitch, please subscribe.
Did you mention that we're Twitch affiliates?
Yeah, we are Twitch affiliates.
Oh, I missed the part where you said we were Twitch affiliates.
Yeah, Twitch affiliates. It's a new thing. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Twitch affiliates.
But yes, please support Love Wrestling. A lot of great people doing a lot of great things, led by the man Spencer. So definitely support us so we can keep on talking about NXT and AEW for an hour and a half a week and having good times and hopefully growing Love Wrestling as we continue to do some of the cool stuff that we are doing.
And guess what? You and I will be back here again next week to do it all again.
Yes, we will. Next Thursday, we will be here for the War Report, probably talking about another 2 great episodes of wrestling. Until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for supporting Matt, myself, and Love Wrestling. And we will see you next week.